I'm here in a seemingly deserted town, surrounded by fog and what's either snow or falling ash. It doesn't really matter which it actually is, none of it ever seems to land on me. I'm looking for my daughter, Cheryl, who disappeared after we were in a car accident, but I don't seem to have been hurt in that accident, so at least I've got that going for me. I can't see very far because the draw distance on a PlayStation 1 game is quite short, so we'll just have to take this a step at a time. Oh, there's a convenience store over there. That seems like a kind of place a kid would wander into. Let's go and check. Oh, no, we can't. The game will force us to hear footsteps that I sure as hell can't hear. I don't know about you. Now we're going to have to follow them, even though we don't want to. We've got to keep on that linear story path. So anyway, we think Cheryl is leading us somewhere, because if that's not Cheryl, we are definitely getting into trouble later for chasing a child around like a maniac. But holy crap, there's a skinned creature here. This place likes to get down to the horror aspect straight away, doesn't it? My goodness, this is creepy. And hey, where did that kid go? Is this skinned thing the kid that we were chasing? I don't know, but we better get out of here because we don't want to get caught with this thing and get blamed for skinning whatever it is. Let's go! I always loved the way the camera moves in these claustrophobic alleyways. It feels like something is here, watching us as we make our way around this game. It's creepy, and the set design only helps to increase the creepiness factor, with its closed-in feeling and not quite realness. Then we get the first glimpses of dark Silent Hill, with a light going out and Harry having to use a match to see. The creepy factor ramps up so high it breaks the dial at this point, and even though I've played this before, even though the graphics are ropey by today's standards, and even though I'm pushing 40 years old, I'm still just as unnerved by this game as I was when I first played it back at university in 2001. It's incredible. This game is as good now as it was then. The eerie sounds are the icing on a fantastically atmospheric cake. It's amazing. Oh no, they're supposed to lose fight. I'd better run away impotently. I'm not kidding about how atmospheric this game is. I've played it before. I know I'm supposed to get mauled by these creatures, but even so, the instinct is to run away from them and to try to escape. It's still scary. In fact, it's one of only a handful of games that has ever managed to creep me out, because despite all its flaws, it's still unnerving to this day, and it's still creepy as hell when the monsters eventually get you. Speaking of creepy, these stilted dialogue pieces are definitely Uncanny Valley territory. The voice actors don't sound like they're in the same room together. It's all stilted dialogue that even the lowest budget B-movie would balk at.
What's that? Huh. Radio. What's going on with that radio?
See what I mean? Even the lowest budget film is still better than this. And as a result, the actual story of Silent Hill detracts you from the experience of Silent Hill. Try to overcome that assault on your suspension of disbelief though, because the actual game is fantastic. Now it's here in the diner that you'll get the main equipment for the game. A broken radio, which will warn you when monsters are coming in, is really creepy. A torch that will become your best friend, and a pistol. But don't get your hopes up, because the weapon combat system in this game is terrible. But I'll tell you what isn't terrible, the radio. It will unnerve you immensely with its weird collection of trills and static. It's all a collection of white noise and radio chatter, basically. And it is the most memorable part of the game. It still creeps me out, and I still think about it years after first playing the game. Oh no! Like I said, combat is sluggish and inaccurate. You're best off running away as often as you can, because you'll die very quickly in Silent Hill. This isn't a game about being a badass hero who can clear an army out on his own. It's a game about a dad looking for his kid, and you have the combat experience of the average parent. Having said that, when you get the pipe, the game becomes a hell of a lot easier, because mastering that thing makes you a one-dad army, but only once you get the hang of it. Anyway, once you get away from that thing, it's onto the game proper. It's back to trying to find your kid, and this involves wandering around the worst tourist destination this side of North Korea. You'll solve some truly ridiculous puzzles along the way, and genuinely get scared half to death, because this is a horror game that doesn't skimp on the horror. Now I know what you're thinking. That's a very succinct summary of the game, and it doesn't really do it justice. Well, to be honest with you, you're right. But here's the thing though, it really is all that there is to Silent Hill. Because this game is a masterpiece in saying more with less. Imagine a small body of water, it's not very wide, you can probably step over it, or at very least hop over it. Well, that's Silent Hill. It's got some crude design, it's got simple 3D structures, it's basic dialogue, that's pretty much all a certain person, if they haven't played it much, would think Silent Hill was composed of. But if you play it for a while, or step into the public continue metaphor, then you'll find the surface masks a very deep, very intricate game, and this was a bad idea. How do I get it out? Silent Hill tells its story as much through the creepiness of its locations and its excellent soundscape as it does its action and dialogue. Even the way the camera drunkenly swings around as Harry moves through the game helps to propel the story along. Take a look at this shot. The camera doesn't move like you would normally expect in a game. It swings and changes direction strangely, as if it's not a camera at all. It acts like some kind of inhuman observer, and its motion helps to set you ill at ease. This is game design at an expert level, where the mechanics of the game are actually being used against you to propel the tension. That's why things that work in Silent Hill don't work in other games of a similar genre. Take this scene, for example. Would an empty locker full of blood ever be creepy on its own? No. As countless other games have shown, this isn't scary, it's just gross. But here, after the tension is already high and you're already unnerved by the game, it works. It has to be used as part of a whole package. That's why Silent Hill is so effective. Because the things that are working here work because every single part is helping to build the tension, build the creepiness, make the entire game feel weird because nothing works quite as you expect a game to be. When the game works differently and the tension is already high, all these extra little bits increase the creepiness factor. Now, as I mentioned before, there's not a huge amount here in terms of locations. You've got a church, a creepy hospital, a few houses, that's pretty much it. And yeah, sure, there are streets, but that's pretty much it. It's not a big game, but what it lacks in locations, it makes up for in obnoxious puzzles. This is LucasArts and Sierra point-and-click adventure territory that we're getting into here. Some of these puzzles are just weird. Now, some of these puzzles are actually quite straightforward. For example, you unlock a door with a key, for example, while others are a bit more stupid. Silent Hill likes to give you odd clues as well. Why? Because everything is done for a reason. It helps build the tension. This is an excellently produced, tightly focused production. The puzzles don't quite work the way we would logically expect, because the world of Silent Hill is not logical by our standards. It's off-kilter, it's illogical, and all of that helps build the atmosphere and show you that the world of Silent Hill is not like our real world. Huh? Radio? What's wrong with that radio? I really should conserve ammo in a game like this, but I have a feeling that this review is coming to an end. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the combat in this game is not great, but that's kind of the point. You're not playing John Rambo here, you're playing Harry Mason, a dad who's just lost his daughter and is just trying to get her back. You're not meant to be a combat expert, and let's face it, when was a game creepy if you knew you could handle everything that was going to throw at you? Was Castlevania all that creepy? Was Contra? I mean, sure, they had some horror elements, but it wasn't scary. A game can't really be scary if you know that you can handle anything that it can throw at you. And that's why the combat in this game works, because, yeah, in those games, you can handle anything that comes at you, but in Silent Hill, there's a very good chance that you can't. The game is built to distort what you expect from it, and that's why it keeps the tension high, even in combat. See what I mean? I didn't even look, because I knew I could handle it. Is that scary? Of course it's not. If I know I can handle everything that's coming at me, there is no tension. It's just mindless shoot, 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 and that's not what you want from a horror game. Are you scared of House of the Dead or games like that? No, but I'm scared of Silent Hill, because at every single turn, it creeps me out. The way it's produced, the way it looks, the way it feels, everything. Even though I've played it multiple times, even though I know what's coming, I'm still creeped by it. Right, let's get out of here. Let's finish this. Silent Hill has multiple endings, some good, some bad, but all effective at putting the finishing touches to the story of the game. Now, I've played it a couple of times, I've had the good ending and I've had the bad ending, not in that order. I prefer the good ending because it rounds off the game experience better in my view. Now, I'm not going to spoil the endings because, let's face it, there are YouTube walkthroughs where you can see all of the cutscenes from the endings if that's what you want. I'm not going to do that here because that's not what this is about. What I will say is that once you get to the ending, I think you'll be satisfied with how it finishes off the story. It's a brilliant game that holds its own, even despite all the clunkiness of its interface and the way it looks and things like that. Unless, of course, you're talking about the UFO ending, but let's not dwell on that because we don't want to summon its awesome power by mentioning it. Oh no. I've said too much. I've got to get away. I've got to get out of here. Oh no. Help! Save me! What? Where am I? Oh no. Oh no. It's Mars. I thought I got away from this. I thought I was free. But no. You can never stop the power of a reboot. Today's video is brought to you by my graphic novels, The Collected Life of Naughty Mouse, Volume 1, All Over the House, Volume 1, and All Over the House, Volume 2. Thank you.